Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Morning, oh, as they say here, guten Morgen, everybody. And it's really a pleasure to be here once more after 2 years. It was 2 years ago. And I'm pretty proud to say that I was wearing this same suit, and I'm still fitting in that after 2 years and one daughter more at home. So that's kind of an achievement. Now, it's very good to be here. Thanks again, Lisa, for reaching out. When Lisa contacted me and said about another event popping up, I felt like 2 years ago, I came in this room with a need. I was looking to set up a pricing team in my organization, and I didn't know where to start from. And Copperberger was addressing that in the event. And for me, it was a great opportunity to speak with peers, professionals doing my same job, understanding how do you look at pricing, what do you do in your company. And out of that, we recruited a successful guy, now we have a pricing team and everything is running smoothly. So I say, now there is an opportunity for coming back, learning something more for the next step, and maybe giving back as well something. All right, but before we move in, a little bit about Cavotec. So Cavotec is a Swedish company. We're stock listed on the Nasdaq exchange as well. But we've been around now for 50 years. We celebrated 50 years last year. And we were born in Milan, actually, from 3 Swedish founders. And we have been all over the world now. What do? We empower our customers by delivering innovative engineered solutions that enhance safety, reliability, and performance. We operate in a very wide market from a certain standpoint because we work with ports, on the terminal side, on the quay side, everything that is moving container, providing the cable reel systems and providing shore power supply to vessels. We work on the maritime side, so we work with all the vessel owners, again, on shore power standpoint, and with ABB Marine on very fancy engines that are turning the azipod of the ship. And then we work in mining, construction, and general industry. We have a very wide portfolio. But for us, everything gets back to basically 3 main products internally. We have what we call the cable reel system that is applied both on the mining side and on the ports and maritime side. Those are cable reels, can be different size, different needs, but basically we try to move and provide electricity thanks to the cable reel that we're providing. And then we have radio remote controls. We have a small factory here in Hausen, Bavaria, in Germany, that is developing, designing, and manufacturing these radio remote controls, again, for having a safe utilization of especially mining machines. And then we have, in the ports and maritime side, we have a very innovative solution that is called automated mooring. We can moor whatever vessel in 30 seconds without need of using any ropes. There was a breakthrough, something that Cavotec acquired back in 2018. Now we have competition popping up on that side, which is fantastic for us because we are really trying to fight a market that has been there for thousands of years. Man has been mooring ships for thousands of years and always with ropes. And now we come with this fancy automated thing. But that's a fantastic product. I'm going to be maybe talking a bit more about that later. And then we have services. Actually, services is something that in Cavotec has always been part of the Cavotec offering in the past 50 years, but it has never been structured. We structured it back in 2018, so it's still a young division within the company. And when we started there, the key point was, for management, was we need to get service being profitable. Not only being supporting our customers, not only being a giveaway. I think before Ioannis, there was a question about when do you sell spare parts, what is the timing, and so on. So there was something that we started doing. I'm going to share a little bit the journey that we're taking into that. But on the Cavotec standpoint, we are public listed as well. As Ioannis, we're going to share our numbers in some days, so there's not much that I can say. But we're on a range of 150 to 200 million revenue company on a yearly basis. So we're a small company in a very niche market from a certain standpoint. And voila, so let's get to it. On a service perspective, what we did when we set it up in 2018, we look at the regions, we look at where our end user were, so where do we have more needs to have a proximity and being closer to our customers. So we have been setting up 3 main regions, Americas, EMEA, and APAC. And in these regions, nowadays, we have 7 service centers. There's the one highlighted in blue. In the service center for us is basically the glue of the service team. We have a service center manager, we have a team of field service technicians, we have a workshop, and we are close to our end user. That's where we make magic happening, troubleshooting, being fast, not having everything decentralized, not having everything going going back to Europe. Our manufacturing footprint is mainly in Italy, in Germany, China, and India, but we wanted to be closer. We had to be closer in order to be able to better answer to our customer needs. Today we have 120 service experts who are them. They are field service engineers, people that have been trained in Cavotec. They know everything about our products. They go out for doing commissioning job, installation job, troubleshooting, retrofitting, and inspection a lot as well. We're pretty proud of this team. We've been investing a lot of time and money as a company to train them, to bring them up to speed. I was speaking about this 2 years ago. We started as well a commercial awareness training. We don't want them to sell. They don't need to sell, but they are our face to the customer. And we need them to be able to position Cavotec as a trusted partner, someone that can, you're not only going there and fixing a problem. You're going there, and what you're going to do makes an impact for our customers. We are covering more or less 60 countries, and we have a big installed base around. We know it. We've been around for 50 years. We do very good quality products, so we get phone calls from people that are asking a spare part for something that was commissioned before I was even born. So that's quite, I'm young, yes, but it's quite an achievement. Before we jump into the core of today, just to give you some numbers, just to help you understanding where we are. Today we have a team of 16 inside and service sales all over the world. And that's a little bit what they've been achieving in 2025. We have been serving 1,345 customers. Revenue, again, we don't share externally service revenue as a separate line, so I give you a range, 30 to 35 million euro in 25, just on spare parts. If you want to take the service portion as well, add the 10 million, give or take. We are managing actively 4,000 stock keeping units, so 4,000 unique spare parts. That's one spare parts that goes in an application, and for actually 75% of the transaction is one only. So let's say that the FAT is really on a limited number of items. We have been dealing with 5,000 orders, and one important point I would like to mention: we have 35 today. Yesterday we signed another one. We have 35 service level agreements. Service level agreements for us, it's when we sell the machine like the MoorMasters or their Show Power, where we are selling directly to the end user. We try always to pitch a service level agreement, either for extended warranty, but for us it's even to tell those are machines that are pretty new for the market. Our customers don't know even how to maintain them, how to use them in some cases. Some cases, service level agreement turn into to be an operations and maintenance agreement as well. So that's something that is very successful when we are dealing directly with the end user. Then the core of the spare parts business for us goes through, we are selling to OEMs. So we're selling to the Sandvik of the world, the ABB, the Epiroc in the mining sector. And so we are simply supplying equipment to them, and then they are the one buying spare parts from us. Which is a little bit something maybe I should have mentioned earlier on. Cavotec is very engineering to order focus. We've been around for 50 years. We always do the same cable reel, but if you look at all the cable reels in the world, for me it's impossible to say I put in stock one component and I'm going to be serving 10 cable reels, because everything is having 1 centimeter more, one hole in there, another hole on the other side, because everything was made and designed based on the customer needs. Now we go a little bit to the core of today's presentation. Customer pain point, right? Spare parts availability. In the past 2 years, especially last year, I've been traveling all over the world. First of all, because 2 years ago, I've been setting up this team of inside sales and service sales. So it was for me the opportunity of going, meeting them, getting them on board, and visiting customers together with them. So last year, I've been doing a lot of tour for the pleasure of my wife, of course. But I think that what really struck me, and this was between 24 and 25, the shift that happened in certain areas of the world in 25. In 24, I was meeting customers in Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore area, terminal operators, and spare parts needs was there, but it was not a priority. They run to fail, basically. They run the machine until they are destroyed, or they have all the local mom and papa shops that are fixing the machine for them. So as an OEM, we don't get a return of that. But we've been visiting them, we've been pitching them the value added of doing maintenance, what is the difference for them, what can they gain. 24 was, yeah, but not really interested. In 25, they came to us. And why did they came to us? Their own customer behavior changed. The vessels that were coming to these ports in Malaysia, this was a specific port in Malaysia, the vessels that were coming in were saying, okay, you tell me by when I'm going to be able to leave again for the next stop, for the next call. And that time frame was a fixed time frame, 10 hours. And during that 10 hours, they had to unload the ship and reload the ship. And there was a time bomb for them. They were not used to work in this way as terminal operator. And if the crane is down, if they miss a small component, if something is not working, they're going to be failing on that. And they start paying penalties with the vessels. So your customer, you're paying penalties with your own customer. So for them, this was a complete shift. So then they started saying, hey, Cavotec, can you help us get in there? And that's how we started developing with them more a partnership model rather than I try to sell you something, you don't want it, and then see you next time. And it was the interesting starting point on my side to say, if that is happening there, is it happening elsewhere? So we started looking a little bit at who are the customers that we have in the world with whom we can build this relationship. Because as I said before, we have a lot of install base all over the world. But if you want to start an empirical exercise of looking in the database, looking in the ERP, we're never going to go anywhere. So we say we want to have quick wins. We want to get low-hanging fruit. I need to get, as I say, we're a small, relatively small company, so I need to get the buy-in, to get the right stock in place. And so we started building on that. So what we did was we have now this team of inside sales and service sales located in every service center, close to our customers. And we started moving from waiting the customers to come into us to ask, hey, I have a failure, this machine doesn't work, can you give me this, can you give me that? We started going to them, hey, last time you purchased this equipment, these spare parts was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Based on the maintenance manual, that's something that you should be changing here and more. But for me, the key point in that was getting our team, our guys in there, with this customer-centric approach. You know, you need to be there, you need to spend time there. So I think, Yannis, you were saying that before, taking our team and taking the inside sales, it's a back office role. We don't expect them to travel. We don't expect them to see customers that much. But now one of their KPI, once per quarter, they need to be in front of a customer. They need to see the site. They need to see all the items that they know by heart in terms of code. They need to understand what is that part? What do they use it for? Why is that critical? Why when you get a request for that item, you need to stop everything else and you need to run for that because it's a very critical component. So, and then we started investing a little bit in stock, but that was the big dilemma. What do you put in stock? You know, every year our finance is so happy about a writing of provisions because of wrong stock in the past. How you're gonna ensure that you put the right stock? And again, for me, the approach was let's look at piloting. Let's look at where things are moving. So we're been shifting a little bit from having everything happening centrally, everything decided in the quarter, in Europe, to local decision making. So we get small budget, we say, start with that. Let's start to have the smart stock that you need. What is moving every year? What the customers are always looking for? What are you missing as opportunities to sell? Because the lead time is too long, because it's coming from Europe, it's coming from China, and whatsoever. So we built a solid SIOP process. Again, not going to the moon and back, but just doing it with a focus area of customers, a focus area of products, and started developing that. And we pushed this, rather than everything was on me before, we pushed that down in the organization. We empowered them, and we say, guys, that's your budget, make it run. And that's where the shift started step by step to happen, because the guys felt like, okay, I can make a difference for my customers. The customers started seeing a lead time reducing from 14 weeks plus ocean freight from Europe to 2 weeks. I have it in stock, the time they put it on a courier, and I deliver to you. So that's where things a little bit started changing. And then we added a third point that is we've been doing some trainings for the teams with an external company that is really helping us a lot, and they came up with a very good I call it a catchy sentence, but it's something that I think it works, and it works in all the environment. If you don't schedule your maintenance, your equipment will schedule it for you. Again, we are working in an environment where most of our customers are running the machine to failure until they realize that when something is failing, it's too late. So we are having it now, this written in the how do you call it, in the jacket of our technicians. We are trying to do some branding around it because I think it's a very simple and effective one, and we're seriously seeing to start that to paying off. After 5 minutes with the Q&A or without the Q&A? It's okay, I go. Okay, sorry. So just trying to sum it up a little bit, what I've been trying to share here. What was our road to try to position Cavotec as a reliable partner? Because that's what we wanted to do. You know, scope of the service division, I think in every organization, on top of being a very profit and revenue generator, is to be a reliable partner. We need to be able to help our customers. So for us, it's been really leveraging on the install base knowledge. Again, not going with a crazy exercising of a super huge database, but doing a practical approach and starting going mapping region by region, leveraging on the local service centers. We've been developing kits and right pricing schemes. Especially for me, pricing was very important. We have a lot of proprietary items on the Cavotec standpoint. They cannot source them elsewhere unless they do a complete re-engineering of the machine. But we have a lot of commercial items as well. How do you price them? How do you ensure that we're not opening the way for competition and so on? But again, learnings from Copperberger 2 years ago. I have now a beautiful pricing guy. He's doing a fantastic job. And we've been stabilizing this side of forecasting to have the right parts at the right time. And again, all of these sounds like a perfect word. Is not. We're failing in most of the areas where we're trying this. Here, what I try to emphasize is where we're making it a success, because we need the successes inside our own organization to then to be able to scale it again and to move it to the next one. So I'm really seeing pocket of areas where this is working very well, and pocket of areas where instead we need still a long journey. But again, we're a small company and we're getting there. Closing remark on this. So for me, the key pillar of all this journey that we started, myself, we have been with Cavotec for 9 years, but in the service side for the past 3 years. The journey that we started, for me, the key pillar is that every transformation needs to be driven by our own people. So it's taking them on board. For me, I spent the past 2 years traveling around, spending time with our guys to take them on board to say, what do we need to do differently? And why do we need to do differently? What's the added value that we're bringing to our customers? And then we've been really piloting things on a small scale so we can fail. And if we fail, no heads is going to be on any table, at least not mine. I have a mortgage to pay still. But we've been looking at stabilizing this aside open forecasting process where that was feasible. Try not to have everything centrally done, but decentralize it and having a decision making as much as possible at local level. We've been trying, we've been failing, we've been learning, we've been fixing, we've been repeating, and we're going to continue. And on the install base, we are still on a journey on that side because it took us a while, but now we're getting there. Again, it's a very good potential for any manufacturing company. It's something that we cannot leave on the table, but we are trying to have this approach of piloting it and trying to get, again, where it's work, where we can get a result, a quick input. And for me, the golden rule has been 80-20 rule in everything that we are doing, because sometimes we are a very engineer-driven company, so engineers, nothing against them, I'm not an engineer, but they are always wanted everything perfect. But sometimes, to be agile, you need to take a leap of faith on a certain standpoint, and we have been trying to do that as much as we could. And again, trying to have the customer centricity in there. What are we really trying to solve from our customer standpoint, and what's the core that they need? Complexity for us is that we serve a very variety of customers. We have a very large product portfolio, and we're small. So sometimes we're really stretched. But I see this that, at least for us on the motorized cavalry side, what we do for the ports terminal is really paying off a lot. We've been increasing significantly revenues. We've been increasing profitability that we gain out of that, and we're having happy customers that then are buying new equipment, that then are buying, they're choosing Cavotec for the next projects and so on and so forth. So far it's a good journey. We still have a lot to learn, but what I really love is to keep this momentum ongoing within our organization to try to make a little bit more a difference for our own customer base. And with this, I think I ended up with a quote of, I think, one of the best movies in the past years. It is the question that drives us. So any questions, anything that was completely bananas or...
Give him a hand, first of all. Any bananas? We have a question from Kolja. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. You mentioned that Copperberg can be a learning opportunity, and now I'll try to grab one. I'm struggling with the SIO process for spare parts. Can you elaborate a bit more on that, please?
Yes. So the way we develop that, so every sales guy is running his own pipeline. You know, they have a pipeline of opportunities. We have a CRM. They work on that and so on. But what we're doing is that pipeline was just a sales pipeline. It was never fed back within the organization on a supply chain perspective. What we started doing with the smart stocking, first of all, we look at what are the opportunities. We use Salesforce as a CRM, so there might be a common term. What are the opportunities that we're always losing in a certain area, and why? Is the reason the lead time? So that's we went back and we say to the approaching customers, if we give you the part here, I look at Australia. We have a lot of business in Australia, and Australia is far from here. If I give you the part here, I'm gonna be delivering to you in 24 hours. Are you gonna still buy from us, or are you gonna go back to someone else? And that was the triggering for me of the PSYOP, not a PSYOP that is a fancy meeting where everyone is happy and is looking at KPIs and everyone is shining, but something practically done. So we look at Australia, we look at what is the sales need, and how can we turn this into having the right inventory here. And we started not with all the product portfolio, we start with 5 parts. And we started with those 5 parts. Those 5 parts have been shipped from Europe to Australia, been in there. First month, nothing moves. Second month, they start to move. After the first quarter, all gone. So we replenish. So we start, and then we started increasing it a little bit more, and increasing it a little bit more, and then expanding to the next one. So for me, the PSYOP has really been this, because our problem as well as an organization, who is dealing with manufacturing is as well the same team that is sourcing for parts. And as you all know, it's a completely different beast, sourcing for spare parts, where time is the essence, where you need the things yesterday, and sourcing for very engineering-driven projects where everything is different, everything needs to be confirmed and signed by the customer, because otherwise we're gonna buy the wrong stuff, and what do we do with that? Because no one else you see. So that was, for me, the practical approach to the PSYOP was this one. So rather than a fancy KPI exercise, doing it pragmatic, measuring it, and then repeating it, and then expanding it to the next one. We do it very well there in Australia. In Europe, we do it very bad. Why? Because our manufacturing are in Europe. So we keep thinking we don't need that. But actually we do, because having the parts on stock even for the European customers makes a difference compared to having them in the rolling stock for the manufacturing needs. Pleasure.
Thomas here, wait. Microphone. Or can I repeat the question so I have it on audio? Yeah, there's so many people we can't get through.
Thanks for the great talk and inspiration of your journey. Do you share what parts you have in stock with the customers, and how do you do that? Do they know what are your stock keeping units? Question mark.
Depends. We have some customers with whom we run they have a commitment with us of running forecast. So they update us on a monthly basis what's the output for the next 12 months. So with them, they know how much we have in stock, and we share it on a very boring Excel file. That's the way we do it today. But just for my team, it took me a while, but with IT, we've been developing a simple Power BI dashboard. They go in, they put the part that they're looking for, and they see where do we have it available in the world. So our own team is having this access. They can use it for feeding back quickly to the customer and say, okay, I have it on the shelf, it's gonna take me 2 days, or I don't have it on the shelf, it's gonna take a while longer. But today, we just share stock availability with a pool of customers. We are developing now a niche shop as well. That's something new for us. It's a very conservative market, so I want to start with a proper pilot on the radio remote control side, because that's where we have a lot of requests coming in from resellers in every corner of the world, so that could be streamlined. But we are running on an ERP that I think it was implemented when I was a boy still, so now we're getting to the next step of the ERP, and then we're going to go through the eShop. But yes, and their stock will be available, because in the eShop I want that to be visible.
Thank you. And one final question down here in the back.
Hello. I just want to know a bit of the scale of the improvements that you are presenting, because I see some numbers, but I want to see the impact of those improvements. What is your mean time for repair as a KPI? And the investments that you did in the warehouse, you said that you are decentralizing the stock overseas. How much does the investment count? Did you outsource, or did you do by your own? And the last one is how much is the service revenue accounting from the spare parts revenue of 30.5 million? Because you said that you start doing the service besides the parts, how much it counts? And yeah, that's it.
Okay, on question number one, we don't track that KPI. We do very small repair. What we do more, we supply parts for our customers to do the repair rather than us doing it. Where we do repair, it's on machines like the MoreMaster, which is something that we are the only one owning it. And we do more than a repair, we do what we call overhauling programs. So every 5 to 10 years, depending on the machine, depending on which design was that, we do a full overhaul of the machine. That is, of course, for the customer, is cheaper than buying a new one. And of course, sustainability-wise, there is no comparison because we try to utilize most of the parts. But your first question on the repair side, the only place where we could track that is on the radio remote control, but we are a bit far yet in the journey to measure those kind of KPIs. So that's a very good question, and that's something I'm gonna bring at home to see what we can do differently. Second question was on the revenue split, right? On spare parts, we do 30 to 35 million on a yearly basis, and on services, we do 7 to 12 million on a yearly basis. That's a little bit the range. Again, we're stock listed. Those numbers are getting shared within the two equipment divisions, so we cannot disclose more details than that. But I can tell you that when I started 3 years ago, we were doing 20 to 25 million on spare parts. So that has been a little bit the journey on that. And the third question was, or maybe this was the third one, but then there was the question about how much we invested to get the stock locally, right? We've been investing, beginning of 2025, 1 million euro of parts. But we didn't, just in terms of cost for Cavotec of components, 1 million euro, which was quite an investment on our side, considering the scale, 1 out of 30 as a return, more or less. But we didn't externalize that. We have workshop where we have already shelves, we have already warehousing capabilities and so on. What we did was really, literally moving parts from Europe or China close to the end customers. So there was the big difference.
Thank you. Give Marco a hand. Thank you, Marco.
Thank you.